You have met your greatest enemy. You've looked them in the eye, listened to their whispers of doubt, and meticulously followed their impossible commands. You do it every single morning when you look in the mirror. You're searching for a hidden enemy, a toxic friend, a secret manipulator out there in the world, pointing fingers at frenemies and fake people who drain your energy. But what if the most dangerous enemy isn't out there at all? What if the call is coming from inside the house? What if the architect of your exhaustion, the warden of your stagnation, is your own mind? This is the perfectionist's prison, how your own mind becomes your secret enemy. We're not here to talk about high standards. High standards build empires and create masterpieces. We are here to talk about the poison of perfectionism, the insidious belief that if you are not flawless, you are a failure. It's a disease of the spirit that convinces you that your worth is conditional, earned only through a flawless performance on the stage of life. It turns your mind from a trusted advisor into a secret enemy, a saboteur who works against you while pretending to help. This enemy doesn't use fists, it uses a vocabulary of shoulds, musts, and not good enoughs. It builds a prison around you, not with steel bars, but with impossibly high walls of your own expectations. And the cruelest trick of all, it convinces you that this prison is a palace, a fortress of excellence, and that the anxiety you feel is the price of greatness. Today, we are staging a prison break. We are going to expose the 5 core mechanisms this secret enemy uses to keep you locked down, tired, and stuck in a rut. We will unmask the warden, understand his tactics, and forge the keys to your own liberation. This isn't about lowering your standards. It's about reclaiming your sanity. It's about understanding that the path to a powerful life isn't paved with perfection, but with progress. It's time to stop trying to be perfect for a world full of flawed people and start being real for the only person who truly matters. You. It's time to face the enemy within. The first and most fundamental tool your secret enemy uses is what I call the architect of anxiety. This is the never good enough blueprint. This is the very foundation of the prison. It's the master plan from which all your suffering is built. The blueprint dictates that every single thing you do, every project, every conversation, every relationship, every choice must be measured against an imaginary, flawless ideal. It's a standard that doesn't exist in reality, yet your mind, your secret enemy, treats it as the only acceptable outcome. This isn't about striving for excellence. It's about being haunted by the ghost of perfection. Think of a master architect, a woman named Anya. Her entire identity is built on her reputation for creating flawless, breathtaking structures. Her clients praise her, her peers envy her. On the outside, she is the epitome of success. This is her persona, the perfect mask Carl Jung spoke of, the carefully curated version of herself she presents to the world. But inside, Anya is living in a torture chamber. She's been commissioned to design a public library, a legacy project. The blueprints are brilliant, a work of genius, but she can't submit them. For weeks, she has been staring at the same section, a minor decorative element on a single support column. Her rational mind knows it's insignificant, but her secret enemy, the perfectionist warden, whispers to her at 3 a.m., what if it's not the absolute best choice? What if a critic notices? What if years from now someone looks at that column and thinks, almost perfect? That phrase, almost perfect, is a death sentence to the perfectionist. It's worse than terrible. It signifies a near miss with divinity, a failure at the final hurdle. This is the architect of anxiety at work. It takes a 99.9% success and focuses exclusively on the 0.1% perceived flaw. It magnifies it, distorts it, until the flaw becomes the entire story. Anya isn't designing a library anymore. She's fighting a war against a phantom imperfection. Her team is getting frustrated. Deadlines are looming. Her anxiety is a physical weight, a knot in her stomach and a tightness in her chest. She's not creating, she's hiding. The joy of her craft is gone, replaced by annoying dread. Her mind, the very tool of her genius, has become her secret enemy, sabotaging her masterpiece from the inside out. The consequence of living by this blueprint is a life of chronic, low-grade anxiety and inevitable burnout. You become terrified of starting new things because the pressure to make them perfect is overwhelming. You are stuck in a rut not because you lack talent or ambition, but because your ambition has been weaponized against you. You end up producing less, not more. You take fewer risks. You live a smaller life, all to avoid the crushing judgment of your own mind. You become tired of trying because every effort feels like a setup for failure. Breaking free from this requires a revolutionary act. It requires you to embrace a concept that your enemy despises: good enough. This isn't a declaration of mediocrity. It is a strategic liberation. It is the conscious decision to value completion over flawlessness. It is the understanding that a finished, 80% perfect project is infinitely more valuable than a 99% perfect project that never sees the light of day. Here is your first key. Start practicing intentional imperfection. Pick one low-stakes task today. It could be sending an email, writing a report, or even cleaning the kitchen. Your goal is to do it to a good enough standard and then stop. When the warden's voice starts screaming about that one oddly worded sentence or the spot you missed behind the toaster, you are to consciously acknowledge it and say, "This is good enough for now." Feel the discomfort. Sit with it. This is you building your tolerance to the warden's screams. Second, start a done list instead of a to-do list. At the end of the day, write down everything you completed, no matter how small. The perfectionist mind is obsessed with the vast, unconquered territory of the to-do list. A done list forces it to confront the reality of your progress. It reframes your day around accomplishment, not deficiency. This is how you begin to dismantle the architect of anxiety. You stop trying to build a flawless palace and start laying the bricks of a real, tangible, and beautifully imperfect life. Once the prison's foundation is laid with anxiety, the enemy moves to its second tactic, the warden of isolation. This is how perfectionism repels genuine connection and makes you a target for toxic people. The perfectionist prison isn't just a lonely place, it's designed to be. Your secret enemy, the warden in your mind, knows that authentic human connection is a threat to its power. Real connection requires vulnerability, spontaneity, and the acceptance of mutual imperfection, all things the perfectionist creed forbids. So the warden employs a two-pronged strategy to ensure you remain isolated, even in a crowded room. First, it turns you into an unconscious critic. Because you hold yourself to an impossible standard, you begin projecting that standard onto everyone around you. You might not say it out loud, but you feel it. Your friend who is chronically late, your partner who leaves crumbs on the counter, your colleague who makes a minor error in a presentation. Your mind instantly logs these as character flaws. You become a silent judge, and people can feel that energy. They feel like they are constantly being evaluated. This creates a subtle distance. They can't relax around you. They can't be their messy, human selves because your own repressed need for order makes their normal imperfections feel like an attack. You crave deep connection, but your energy screams, "Be perfect or keep your distance." The second, more sinister prong of this strategy is that it makes you a perfect target for manipulators, fake friends, and hidden enemies. Why? Because the perfectionist is starved for validation. Your self-worth is so fragile, so dependent on external approval, that you are a sitting duck for anyone who learns how to praise your prison walls. Let's go back to Anya, the architect. After the library project causes her immense stress, she meets a new colleague. Ben is charming and effusive with his praise. He says things like, Anya, your attention to detail is just on another level. No one else has your standards. He isn't praising Anya's creativity or her vision. He is praising her obsession. He is praising her symptom. He is validating her prison. Anya, starved for relief from her own inner critic, soaks it up. She feels seen. She feels understood. But Ben is a frenemy. He sees her perfectionism not as a strength, but as a weakness to be exploited. He uses his praise to get closer, to gain her trust. Then the subtle manipulation begins. He'll ask for her help on his projects, knowing she'll overdeliver, spending her own time and energy to make his work flawless. He'll subtly undermine her to their boss, framing her meticulous nature as slowness and his own corner-cutting as efficiency. He becomes an external voice that reinforces the warden's message. Your only value is your perfection, and you must work tirelessly to maintain it, especially for me. Anya is blind to this. She can spot a structural flaw in a building from 100 yards away, but she can't see the toxic foundation of this relationship. Her secret enemy, her own mind, has told her for so long that she is fundamentally not enough, that she cannot recognize genuine support from calculated manipulation. She is so busy maintaining her persona of the flawless architect that she ignores her own intuition, that nagging feeling that something is off with Ben. This is the ultimate isolation, to be used by someone and to believe it is a form of love or respect. The consequence is a life filled with shallow or toxic relationships. You either push good people away with your silent judgment, or you pull bad people in with your desperate need for approval. You end up protecting an image instead of protecting your energy. The escape from this isolation cell requires a journey into the one place the perfectionist fears most, the shadow self. Jung taught us that the shadow contains all the parts of ourselves we have deemed unacceptable and repressed. Our messiness, our anger, our laziness are not perfect traits. The perfectionist has a colossal shadow. To break free, you must begin the work of individuation, of reclaiming these lost pieces of yourself. Here is your key. Practice active vulnerability with someone you trust. The next time you're with a close friend, share a small, imperfect truth. Don't say, I'm so stressed, my project has to be perfect. Say, I'm feeling like a fraud today and I'm terrified I'm going to mess this up. You are not asking for a solution. You are revealing a piece of your true self, not your persona. This act chips away at the prison wall. It tells the warden that you are no longer willing to be defined by a mask. Second, become a student of emotional intelligence and learn to recognize the subtle signs of manipulation. Manipulators praise your weaknesses, not your strengths. A true friend will say, you did a great job, now go rest. A frenemy will say, you did a great job, now how can you make it even better? One encourages your well-being, the other feeds your obsession. Start journaling about your interactions. Who leaves you feeling energized? Who leaves you feeling drained and anxious, even after they've complimented you? Your energy doesn't lie. The warden wants you to trust external validation. Your liberation depends on you learning to trust your internal intuition. This is how you stop being a target and start building a tribe. Now that the prison is built and isolated, the secret enemy employs its most brilliant and debilitating tactic of all, the saboteur in the system. This is how it weaponizes procrastination as a defense mechanism. To the outside world, the perfectionist who procrastinates looks lazy or unmotivated. This is a profound misunderstanding of the psychological warfare happening within. Procrastination is not an act of laziness for the perfectionist. It is an act of self-preservation. It is a brilliant, if tragic, strategy devised by the secret enemy to protect you from its own judgment. The logic is twisted but airtight. If I never finish the task can never be judged as imperfect. If I never submit the proposal, it can never be rejected. If I never launch the business, it can never fail. Procrastination creates a liminal space, a purgatory where the potential for perfection can live on forever, untested by the harsh glare of reality. Your secret enemy convinces you that this painful state of paralysis is safer than the risk of producing something flawed. Imagine a writer named Marcus. He has a novel inside him, a story he's been dreaming of for a decade. He knows the characters, the plot, the ending. He tells everyone he's working on his novel. But what is he actually doing? He spends months, even years, in the research phase. He reads hundreds of books, creates elaborate character histories that will never make it into the story, and designs intricate maps of his fictional world. He is building a beautiful, ornate cage of preparation around the simple, terrifying act of writing Chapter 1. His friends see his stacks of books and detailed notes and think, wow, Marcus is so dedicated. But Marcus knows the truth. He is terrified. The secret enemy in his mind whispers, this novel has to be the next great masterpiece. Every sentence must be poetry. Every character arc must be flawless. The weight of that expectation is crushing. So instead of writing a clumsy first sentence, he reads another book on 18th century naval history. It feels productive. It looks like work, but it is the highest form of self-sabotage. He is not avoiding failure. He is guaranteeing it by ensuring the work is never born. This is the stuck in a rut that so many people feel. It's the sensation of spinning your wheels with immense effort but going nowhere. The consequences are devastating. It's not just the death of dreams and the atrophy of talent. It's the erosion of self-respect. Every day that Marcus chooses research over writing, a small piece of his belief in himself dies. He begins to see himself as a fraud, someone who talks but doesn't do. The saboteur in his mind has not only stopped him from creating, but it has also convinced him that he is incapable of creating. To dismantle this saboteur, you cannot fight it with more pressure or discipline. You can't just tell yourself, stop procrastinating. That's like telling a prisoner to just walk through the steel bars. You have to outsmart the warden. You have to lower the stakes so dramatically that the fear has nothing to hold on to. Here is your key. Embrace the shitty first draft. This concept, championed by author Anne Lamott, is a lifeline for the perfectionist. Give yourself explicit permission to write a terrible first version. The goal is not quality. The goal is not brilliance. The goal is simply to get it done. Tell your secret enemy, don't worry, this isn't the real thing. This is just the garbage draft we have to get out of the way before the real work starts. This trick short-circuits the paralysis. The pressure is gone. A shitty first draft is an achievable goal, and here's the magic. Once something exists, even in a messy, imperfect form, it can be improved. You cannot edit a blank page. Second, use the 2-minute rule. Pick a task you've been avoiding. Set a timer for 2 minutes and work on it for just that long. Anyone can endure anything for 2 minutes. Often, the agony is in the starting, not the doing. The 2-minute rule is a Trojan horse. It gets you inside the city walls of the task. Once you're there, you'll often find the motivation to keep going. This isn't about becoming a productivity machine. This is about reclaiming your agency. It's about teaching your mind that action, however imperfect, is always superior to inaction, however well justified. It's about learning to fail quickly, and to fail forward. Each imperfect action you take is a blow against the prison walls, proving to the saboteur that you are no longer afraid of the verdict. You are more interested in the process. With the prison built, isolated, and rigged for self-sabotage, the secret enemy unleashes its primary weapon of control, the Inquisitor's voice. This is the crippling power of your own inner critic. This isn't just negative self-talk. For the perfectionist, the inner critic is not a passive voice. It is an active, relentless, and cruel inquisitor. It is the warden of the prison, walking the halls of your mind 24/7, rattling its keys, looking for any infraction, no matter how small. Its sole purpose is to find you guilty, guilty of being imperfect, of being human. This voice is the most intimate and devastating form of psychological warfare because the enemy is you. It knows all your secrets, all your fears, and it has a perfect record of all your past mistakes. Let's go back inside Anya's mind. She's finally forced to give the presentation for the library project. She stands up in the boardroom. Outwardly, she looks poised, professional, the perfect persona, but inwardly, the inquisitor is holding court. As she begins to speak, the voice starts its interrogation. You hesitated on that first word. They think you're nervous. They think you don't know what you're talking about. She shows a slide with a complex rendering. Why did you choose that color? It's too bold. The man in the front row is frowning. He hates it. You've lost him. This whole presentation is a disaster. Someone asks a challenging question. Her mind goes blank for a split second. The inquisitor screams, "Fraud, you're a fraud. You don't have the answer. Your career is over. They've finally seen you for what you are, an imposter." This internal monologue is 1,000 times more brutal than any external criticism she could ever receive. It drains her energy, steals her focus, and pollutes her experience. Even if the presentation is a resounding success, even if she gets a standing ovation, the inquisitor will find a way to diminish it. It will tell her, "You just got lucky. You fooled them this time, but you won't get away with it again." For the perfectionist, there is no such thing as a clean win. Every success is merely a temporary stay of execution from the inner critic. This is the source of the profound exhaustion that defines the perfectionist's life. It's the reason you feel so tired of trying. You are not just doing your job or living your life. You are simultaneously fighting a psychological war against a tireless enemy. The constant vigilance, the non-stop self-monitoring and self-flagellation, it's like running a marathon with an anchor chained to your leg. Breaking free from the inquisitor's tyranny is not about silencing it. You can't. It's a part of you. The goal is to change your relationship with it. It's to strip it of its power and demote it from an inquisitor to a distant, slightly foolish commentator. This is a core part of shadow work, to see this critical voice not as absolute truth, but as a misguided, fearful part of your own psyche. Here is your key: personify the critic. Take it out of your head and make it an external character. Give it a name, something slightly ridiculous like Nigel or Brenda. Picture what it looks like. Maybe it's a small, anxious gremlin in a cheap suit holding a tiny clipboard. The moment you objectify it, you create separation. It is no longer me, it is it. When the voice starts its attack, you're going to fail. You can respond, "Okay, Nigel, thanks for your input. I'll take it from here." The humor and the separation defang the threat. Second, start an evidence log. The inner critic deals in sweeping, emotional generalizations. Your weapon is cold, hard data. Get a journal. On one side of the page, write down the critic's accusation. "I am a complete failure." On the other side, you are legally obligated to write down 3 pieces of concrete evidence that contradict that statement. 1. I successfully completed the quarterly report last week. 2. My friend called me for advice yesterday, which means they value my opinion. 3. I made a healthy dinner for myself tonight. At first, this will feel forced, but with repetition, you are retraining your brain. You are building a new neural pathway, a pathway of self-compassion and reality-based thinking. You are teaching yourself to be your own defense attorney, not your own prosecutor. This is how you disarm the inquisitor, take back the courtroom of your mind, and finally give yourself a verdict of not guilty. We have mapped the prison. We've examined its anxious foundations, its isolating walls, its self-sabotaging traps, and the inquisitor who patrols its halls. Now we arrive at the final and most important stage, the escape plan. This is about individuation and the courageous act of breaking free. Escaping the perfectionist's prison is not a single dramatic event. There is no magic key that will instantly swing the doors open. It is a process, a gritty, continuous, and profoundly liberating journey of dismantling the prison brick by brick. This journey, in the language of psychology, is the process of individuation. It is the conscious effort to stop being a collection of fears, masks, and expectations, and to become a whole, integrated, and authentic self. It is the ultimate transformation. The secret enemy, the warden of your mind, will fight this process with everything it has. It will tell you that leaving the prison is dangerous. It will scream that the world outside is chaotic and judgmental, and that your only safety lies in the familiar, orderly misery of your cell. Your escape, therefore, is not an act of aggression, but an act of radical self-acceptance. It's not about destroying the warden, but integrating him. It's about transforming your perfectionism from a cruel tyrant into a discerning but compassionate advisor. Let's return to our architect, Anya, one last time. After months of therapy, journaling, and conscious effort, she understands the prison she's in. The awareness is there, but the bars still feel solid. The escape doesn't happen at a multi-million-dollar project. It happens in her own backyard. She decides to build a simple wooden workbench for her garden, not a masterpiece, a workbench. The first board she cuts is slightly crooked. The old Anya would have thrown it on the fire, consumed with shame and frustration. The inquisitor Nigel starts screaming in her head, "See, you can't even do this simple thing right, you're useless." But this time, something is different. She hears the voice, acknowledges it, and says out loud, "It's a workbench, Nigel, not the Sistine Chapel. It will hold my tools just fine." She nails the crooked board into place. She hammers her thumb. She spills the wood stain. The finished product is sturdy, but it is visibly, gloriously imperfect. The legs are slightly uneven. There's a drip of stain running down one side. It is flawed. And as she stands back and looks at it, a feeling washes over her that she hasn't felt in years. Not the anxious relief of having fooled a client, but a deep, quiet pride. She built this, her hands, her imperfect effort. In that moment, the workbench is more beautiful to her than any of her perfect glass and steel towers because it is real. It is authentic. It is hers. That imperfect workbench is a declaration of freedom. It is a symbol of her individuation. She has taken her shadow, her capacity for messiness and error, and integrated it. She has proven to her own mind that her worth is not tied to flawlessness. This newfound freedom begins to change everything. In meetings, when she feels the urge to over-prepare, she reminds herself of the workbench. She learns to trust her expertise in the moment. She starts setting boundaries with people like Ben, the manipulator. When he tries to flatter her into doing his work, she no longer feels the desperate need for his praise. She can now say with calm authority, "I'm glad you admire my work, but I don't have the capacity to help you with your project right now." She is no longer protecting a fragile persona. She is protecting her own energy and her own time. She has turned her secret enemy into an ally. Her drive for excellence is still there, but it is now tempered with wisdom and self-compassion. This is your escape plan. This is your call to action. It begins not with a grand gesture, but with your own version of the imperfect workbench. What is one small, creative, and joyful thing you can do this week with the explicit goal of it being imperfect? Write a bad poem, paint a messy picture, cook a new recipe, and don't worry if it fails. Sing off-key in your car. The goal is to engage in the process without any attachment to the outcome. This is a spiritual exercise. It is you teaching your nervous system that you are safe, even when you are not perfect. Summarize what you have learned. The never good enough blueprint is a lie. The warden of isolation thrives on your need for validation. The saboteur of procrastination is just fear in disguise. The inquisitor's voice is a tyrant that you can and must dethrone. The prison was built over years. The escape will not happen overnight, but it begins now. It begins with the choice to value progress over perfection. It begins with the courage to be seen, truly seen, in all your magnificent imperfection. The secret enemy in your mind only has the power you give it. Today is the day you start taking it back. Stop being the prisoner. Stop being the warden. Become the architect of your own freedom. Your real life, the messy, beautiful, and authentic one, is waiting for you on the other side of those walls. Go build it.